Hello, everybody. I am Melissa McKay. I am a developer advocate with JFrog, and I'm here today with Bill Manning. He also works for JFrog. Bill, would you like to tell our audience what you do and what you're all about?
Yeah, so I'm Bill Manning. Been with JFrog for coming up on 7 years now. I'm the solution engineering manager for the Americas, and my responsibilities besides that, also you see a bunch probably my webinars and things that I do on our YouTube page, a couple blogs here and there. I'm noisy.
Awesome. Well, we're here today at this speakeasy because I know the DAs especially are excited about our customer conference coming up called Swamp Up. It's a big deal for us. It's a big deal for JFrog. So we wanted to reach out to potential speakers, some attendees, partners, people that we may be crossing paths with at Swamp Up, and just talk to them about what they're excited about and what they're interested in.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, for me, I've been doing this since the second one, starting back in 2017. That's when I did my first Swamp Up. And I will say every year it's amazing just to see the feedback from the customers. I do a bunch of our training sessions, and I love really educating the customers on like things they didn't realize that the platform can do. And that's the best part, because when you directly affect companies in the way they operate and you get feedback, like part of this conversation, I'll talk about one of my famous pieces of feedback that I got last year that like really warmed my heart. Is one of the things, I'll just say it really quick, is I showed a customer how they could use our product to do things like tracing the usage of like certain libraries throughout the system, and things like root cause analysis. And the guy's biggest complaint is that root cause analysis reports, when it came to security problems, he's like used to take them days and weeks, right? He's like, because they have to go parsing through like GitHub repos and look at check-ins and pull requests and deployments and all that. I showed him some best practices. He came back a couple months later and he was like, you know what, my root cause analysis went from days and weeks down to minutes and hours. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, once you showed me how you can actually correlate all the usage of artifacts between various builds and usage and things like that, he goes, it became so much easier for me. He goes, so I could focus on what actually happened as opposed to investigating all the things leading up to it. It was kind of cool. It made me feel really good. I was like, okay, you know what? I did my job.
Awesome. And we need these times where we can just really focus on the product itself and talk to customers and focus on their pain points. I know I've had that experience too, just as a developer, because I didn't have as much access to, Artifactory, for example. I mean, I could see packages and stuff, but I really didn't know all of the bells and whistles and all of the, the best practices you speak of, and, all the things that are possible and what you can do. And it really does make your life easier and more efficient at your job, for sure. Things I wish I knew. Now, I've only been with JFrog for a few years now, 3 years now. You are much more senior than me, so I'm excited. I will still have things to learn at Swamp Up.
But anyway, the thing is, though, it's also the extending down to the desktop. It's right. We talk about Artifactory all the time and X-ray and stuff like that. But the things that really excites me is I just got back from RSA, and in RSA, one of the key things that we showed off was our new advanced security and contextual analysis. And the best part about contextual analysis is, for those people like we're going to learn more and more about this if you attend Swamp Up, and also we have lots of talks online, is that there's this cognitive overload for security admins and developers and things like that. The thing is that security, when it comes to third-party transitive dependencies, is really a huge problem, right? 650% increase in supply chain attacks over the past couple of years alone. I mean, think about that. 85 to 90% of the things out there that we pull in, we don't know where they come from. And the thing is that we talk about Artifactory and X-ray all the time of protecting and auditing and whatnot, but contextual analysis also extends down to the developer, right? We have ID plugins where we can tell the developer, hey, these libraries you're using, like I always use NPM as my example. NPM is the most infamous, right? I mean, there's like 21. Oh, so wait, I think in our database we have over 16,000 CVEs associated to NPM alone, right? We're a CNA, being a CVE number authority has its privileges. It's awesome. But the thing is that, only, having it at the desktop is really where you fight the fight, right? I mean, this is where you get the greatest ROI and from any security tool. Actually, there's a great, we're about to release, actually a Gartner report that shows that the information, our ROI on our security product is 393% return on investment based on using our best practices with our product. It's going to be available. It's actually available, I think, next week, or it's going to be available very soon. But the thing is that it's true. By giving your developers the ability to combat this where it matters most, really can save corporations not only money but reputation. Future growth. There's a myopic approach in most people's mentality when it comes to security. The thing is that I always call it the pebble in the water effect, right? It might be a single security issue, but think about everything else it affects over time.
Right. That is absolutely true. And something I realize more and more is developers are not security experts. I certainly do not claim to be one. And we already are asked to do a lot. So yes. Piling on a bunch of CVEs and saying mitigate all these is not enough, right?
Absolutely.
In order to get actual progress on the, shifting left, getting it down to the developer when the code is actually being built, to get us to care about it, it's got to be built into our, the process we already do.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is that, in the IDE, it's right there in your face, right? But it's not just telling you something's wrong. It's telling you there's something wrong in the context of its usage. You see, the thing is, like you said, with most CVEs, developers don't care, because here's the thing, is that if a function, say you pull a library to say, I want to parse a line. I mean, I've been doing this for over, I've been a developer for 25 years now, right? I mean, I started the pre.com boom. I mean, obviously, they can tell from this. The thing is that there's hundreds of functions sometimes in these libraries, and you only need the one particular function. But most of the CVEs are directly correlated to a specific function or whatnot. But what if you're not using that function? What if that function is not the one that you're using? Do you discard it, right? That's the thing is that, and in most cases, these CVEs are not implicit. They're not direct dependencies that you stated, right? These are the ones that come along for the ride. Like I always joke, like I say NPM, I always call it the house party, right? You invite 3 things into your package.json to defy your dependencies, and 500 show up unexpectedly, right? I mean, and you can't vet everybody. And that's the thing is that, so we're providing that level of effort. And then with contextual analysis, the exciting part is that I asked every customer the same question. I show this example where I have almost 300 CVEs, and I ask every potential customer or person that comes and talks to me, I go, how long is it going to take you, and how many engineers, effort, delayed releases, all the things associated, lost revenue, just to investigate these? And with contextual analysis, I show this example. I go, what if I could tell you 74% of these are bogus? They don't affect you, right? I just cut that down for you.
Yeah,
right?
That's incredible. And it's overwhelming especially on the developer side. You get this long list and good and well that most of these are not even applicable to you.
Exactly. And the fact that you can then, giving them the ones that are to the developer, and they can go in and we actually show them in their code where the issue is happening. And we present them with all the research materials on how to logically fix it. Like auto remediation, and this is just my thing, is I think it's a terrible idea, right? Because you don't understand the effectiveness of it. Once again, it's another pebble in the water effect. Some of these transitive dependencies are dependencies for other libraries that are not directly affected by the CVE. They might have a common library that's shared across multiple libraries. And if you remediate this one, how do you know you're not going to break the others? And we also show impact graph that here's this library that is in question, and here's every reference to it that's also at the developer level. So, hey, by the way, it's also affecting all these other libraries. So if you change this and you upgrade it, you're going to affect these too.
Right. Oh, wow. This is amazing. Just really exciting. I think it's really going to help with the overwhelmed feeling that many of us have about security in general, to the point where we throw up our hands and give up. So this is going to help immensely. And I know we've been sharing contextual analysis now at conferences, starting to, open that present and show it to the public. We're going to get more into those details and more into the specifics. And I believe we're going to have some workshops and education around that at Swamp Up, right?
So, and by the time we get to Swamp Up, we're also going to have some other exciting announcements too. We've already talked about some of them, but we have the sort. Right now we're doing the SCA, right? We're doing this, the component analysis. We will be bringing static code. So awesome. when that comes, watch out. The thing is like, developers are going to be able to go in and really this is where it matters. You want to empower your developers. It's not just education, right? The thing
Right.
is that also with Artifactory and X-Ray, the thing is, I always tell customers, I'm like, do you realize that, did you know that, before your developers get their hands, on the libraries, because I always say this, and I always preface this whenever I give my public talks or anything like that. Let's face it, coders are artists, right? They're artisans. Their craft is their code. The medium they use is the libraries and the languages that they choose, and the expression of what they do is what comes out. But the thing is, at the same time, how do you encourage them to keep doing what they're doing and be creative, but don't inundate them with the security side? Let them do their thing and let us do that for them. And a lot of customers don't realize that you can enable rules in Artifactory with X-Ray to pre-vet before they even get their hands on it. So they say they do like a pip install, and it goes out and gets, that the implicit library they stated in all its transitive friends. I always say, I'm like, it always makes me laugh when I say transitive friends. Like, when they all come in, but those are the ones. I mean, I always use this one quote that says, every time you do a pip install, a go get, a Docker pull, it's the equivalent of finding a USB key on the street and walking to your production server and plugging it in. And the thing is that, being able to pre-vet these before they even get into the developer's hands. Right. Yeah. And then getting notifications to things like Slack and MS Teams, and creating Jira tickets that are actionable, and, using our JFrog CLI to do things like audit and on-demand scanning. We even have the Docker desktop plugin, like all these tool sets that are there. And when we talk to customers about it, sometimes they're like, we didn't even realize you had all these additional things that we put into our arsenal to combat the biggest scourge right now in terms of software development.
Right. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things, and this was something that came up on a panel that I was on maybe a year and a half ago now, is that the next step is we need more analysis of these things. We can't just hand people a list of CVAs and say, fix it. And what you said is, now we have this analysis, all of this stuff behind the scenes, how you mitigate it, examples of how it's exploited, so that you can actually measure your risk and decide whether that's something that you need to deal with or not. And I really appreciate that. I know as a developer, I don't like being told to accept something on blind faith.
Right.
And don't have enough years in my life to be an expert in everything. So being able to get some help with other teams and using our security research team at JFrog and helping us to
They're awesome.
Learn more about these vulnerabilities is super cool.
Oh, listen to this though. Think about this too. Look at the information that we provide from our research team, and the fact that we're enhancing CVEs, because most CVEs are pretty lazy. They're like a cut and paste of the summary into the description with no context, where now we're going in and saying, you know what, that's kind of unacceptable, because the thing is that, like you said, you take it on blind faith, or, but, at the same time, it's like, at least having the awareness and the context behind it allows you to focus on it more and attack it more rapidly. That's one of the biggest problems too. And like you said, it's like, the thing is also too, we escape the myopic approach. We need to, people need to look at the more global impact that they have inside the company, as opposed to just this myopic singularity.
Yes. And we get rid of that whole idea where everything is a priority too.
Right.
We are absolutely able to make better educated decisions based on this information. So if you're project manager or a team lead or something, and you got to decide, what am I actually going to tackle this sprint? You can find the worst things and tackle those first. So very powerful. Now you've been this at conferences already, right? This analysis, and how are people responding to it?
Oh, it's, what's funny is like, I tell people, and this is the same joke I use whenever I talk about it live. And when I showed it to people, I was like, I'm going to change your life. I sound like one of those infomercials when I say it. I'm like, I'm going to change your life in 5 minutes. It's like, or it's like, I'm going to show you, 7-minute abs, and now we're down to 6-minute abs, right? It's like, and that's better. But I show people, I'm like, I'm going to change your life in 5 minutes. And they're like, how? And the example I give using architectural analysis, because it's not just context. I'm like, also, we show secret exposure. Right? Think about that. That's insane. Here's one of the best ones. I downloaded this. All I typed in was into Google. I said Docker host Python, and I was like, I'll download the #1 Python hosted Docker image, it has all the components in it, so save some time, like and most people would do. I'll just download it. It's got the runtime, and I'll put my Python code into it. So I did that. I downloaded, I scanned it, and I found API keys, AWS certificates, everything inside of it. And you know where it was located? Root history. It was an Ubuntu container. It was it was wiped completely clean, and our system found all this information. Direct keys. I contacted the dude who created it. I was like, "Here you go. Just to let you know, you never wiped your history out of this, and I have all your API keys." And he sent me a message back. He's like, "Whoa!" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Found it in your root history."
Wow. Yeah.
Service and application level exposures, right? Are you enabling TLS? If you're using, say, like a TLS connected service, right? Are you doing it correctly? Are you doing it securely? Service level exposures. Do you have I had one I downloaded. It was funny. I downloaded this container, I ran the test, and I decided to run the image to see what it was, and I put a sniffer on it. And what it told me is that there was an application that was running in the background. And I was like, huh, and our system told us that there was a possible exposure. I went and I took a look. The service started up, connected somewhere in Asia somewhere, don't know where, and sent back a request that says, please provide me with all your log files.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was going to pull everything out of my Docker image and send all my log files somewhere. And this was, by the way, this was a container I pulled directly off of a Docker Hub.
Yeah. Not to scare everyone, but you probably should be a little frightened. There's a lot going on that many of us don't know anything about because we're too busy focusing on our application, getting that out the door, meeting our requirements, making our bosses and managers happy, making our customers happy. But there's all this stuff happening under the covers that we have got to be paying attention to.
I'm a student of 12-factor app method, right? I mean, when I discovered 12-factor app method over a decade ago, it changed me. It was like, I've been using Docker images. When Docker images came out, I was like, oh my God, it's finally the thing I've been looking for. No more it works on my machine. But the inherent risk there is that I learned over time that all those preloaded images that I would usually use in the past, it was better for me to go ahead and actually create a Docker file instead with all the things I needed and customize the image to my requirements and allow me to go in and be very selective in what I wanted and protect myself. Right. Yeah. And then putting it through. And it's funny is, what I do is actually, of course, I use our product to do it. So like I've been building this Docker image and I have my own personal instance of our managed solution and I publish it to there. That's where I pull it in and out of all the time. And I run scans on it regularly. And I found out that actually two of the services I was using inside, two of the libraries I was using, actually, they were Debian ones, were terrible, right? They were actually detrimental. And I upgraded them and I ran another test and it was fine. And I run an NPM app on there and a couple other things too. And I have I'm actively testing and running all the time. And the amount of feedback we have before was almost overwhelming. This is one of the things that also too getting, we have it connected to Slack because we do Slack and MS Teams, and I was constantly getting Slack messages, because of the amount of things I was doing, and of course being a test, doing testing and making webinars and doing all this stuff. Of course, I'm finding terrible things, right? Because that's what I want to show, terrible things. And the thing is that now with contextual analysis, I've actually watched that amount deplete. Because there's an enablement feature now inside of it that says, don't alert me if it's not contextually relevant, if the issue is not contextually relevant to the way I'm using it. So I used to get like 100, 120 messages sometimes at a time. And now I'm getting more of a handful.
Talk about alert fatigue. And then you just start all of them. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
I have a few things on my system right now I'm actively ignoring.
Don't tell security.
This is awesome, Bill. I always love talking to you. I love your energy and your passion for what you do. And I love, I've even learned things from your videos, and there's a lot out there that you produce and that you share with the public because you care. You care.
I do. I love it. It's fun. I'm fun.
Excited to see you.
Can't wait.
Cross paths at Swamp Up, if not before. But yeah, for everyone out there that's interested in these details and wants to talk more with any of us at JFrog, want to get into the specifics of how this works and how this, like you said, can change your life in 5 minutes, meet us there.
We'll always have a good time. It's always fun. And
Awesome.
Yeah, San Jose this time.
Oh, San Jose, sorry. All right,
About,
awesome.
About a mile from my house. I'll probably end up either skateboarding or biking there.
Awesome. All right. Well, I will talk to you soon and hope to see you there.
Thanks for having me, Melissa. Rock on.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you.